I've had quite a debate over the past couple of days having to do with conservatism, the Tea Party, and social issues. Whether or not the Tea Party should be involved with and stand up against immorality that is destroying this nation's soul from within. I'm talking about, of course, primarily abortion and same-sex marriage. There are an amazing amount of conservatives who believe that the Tea Party movement is exclusively about fiscal conservatism, and that moral issues, like the two I just mentioned, have no place in the Tea Party. And I got to tell you, if that is what the Tea Party is about, then Christian conservatives have no place in the Tea Party. But the fact is, I know they're wrong. Most Tea Parties are pursuing an aggressive, moral issue-based Tea Party conservatism. Anyway, I've got some quotes here, and I want to talk about this in more detail later in the week, because right now I was talking with Deborah J.M. Smith about issues and how sometimes issues are jumping around in your brain like popcorn, and you have to wait until your head settles down before you can talk about it coherently. That's kind of where I am here. But it seems to me that people who steer the Tea Party away from social conservatism are making a huge mistake. And it's very similar to what happened at the CPAC convention the last couple of years, with Ann Coulter and Andrew Breitbart welcoming Go Proud, the militant, activist homosexual organization that pursues same-sex marriage and homosexuals in the military, the end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And the Tea Party is supposed to say, okay, you're welcome. You're welcome within the Tea Party because all we're about is fiscal conservatism. That is nonsense. Anyway, let me allow these thoughts to settle down in my mind, and maybe on Wednesday or Thursday I'll talk about it. Because I disagree entirely. If the Tea Party is not conservative across the board, then how is it different from your typical RINO Republicans, like John McCain or Mitt Romney? These Republicans who are conservative on financial issues, but they are not standing up against the moral decay that is destroying this nation. Let me remind you what Rush Limbaugh said about all of this, because it's very important.
If I may get serious with you for a moment. The left, if you believe them, believes that there's one species on planet destroying it. Now, all mammals exhale carbon dioxide, but somehow only man, only human beings, carbon dioxide is destroying the planet. It's only man, in all of his endeavors, particularly capitalist man, Western culture man, those are the culprits. We are the real culprits. We are destroying the planet. The one species on the planet that's destroying it. Why does the left think this? I'll tell you what I think. We, human beings, are the only species who have the capacity to know and understand the concept of God. No other species has the slightest clue. A fish doesn't even know it's in water. A dog doesn't know it's a dog. And who the hell knows what cockroaches think? I don't even want to contemplate it. To know God is something unique for all species on the planet. It's us. We're the only ones who know God, who can conceive God, and all that that means. Therefore, to the left, to know God is the single most destructive part of the human mind. That's what has to be destroyed. Faith in God, belief in God, that's the real, and there are many enemies of the left, but that's, if you go to any communist country, the first thing they do is wipe God and religion out of everybody's mind. The state becomes God, and whoever's running it at the time becomes the Messiah. There is no God other than the state. See, God put us here to procreate, to experience his gifts. The left, in order to ultimately succeed, has to end our understanding of God's existence and purpose. And therefore, we're not going to fix this economic mess until we fix our moral mess. Our country is in a moral shambles. And until we fix the moral destruction that has crept over our culture, we're not going to be able to really fix anything else. And when you start talking about fixing the moral mess, then you really cause the left to rise up and come after you. So you strip all this stuff away, what's at the root of it is a belief in too many people in something other than the state, something other than the government.
And one more time with his key point here, because this is what the Tea Party should be standing for. Anything less, and we can't save the country.
We're not going to fix this economic mess until we fix our moral mess. Our country is in a moral shambles. And until we fix the moral destruction that has crept over our culture, we're not going to be able to really fix anything else.
Okay? If you don't trust me, maybe you can trust Rush Limbaugh. These two women I was debating, and I'm just going to talk about this now because I don't want to come back to it. I want to get this off my chest now. These two women I was debating were arguing that social conservatism, moral conservatism, has no place in the Tea Party. And in fact, one of the women, her name was Pam, she wrote the following in a number of comments underneath a thread. My local Tea Party is full of Democrats. Not all of the Democrats are commie progressives. Some of my biggest, by the way, I agree with that. I understand that not all Democrats are communist and progressive. But that doesn't mean that conservatives have any place with these people. I'm sorry. Yes, I am divisive on this issue. Every time we get together with Democrats, we get hosed. You think about what happened with the supposed pro-life Democrats that Republicans were working with against Obamacare. What did they do? They voted for Obamacare in spite of the fact that the government will be paying for abortion. And you're going to tell me that we're going to sit down and have a powwow with Democrats in the Tea Party? F*** that. I am not at all interested in having the conservative movement in this country getting together with Democrats, working with Democrats. If they want to support our conservative fiscal policy, then they can vote for our conservative candidates. All right? It's that simple. And they're going to have to decide if they want to vote for candidates who are conservative, including on issues like abortion and same-sex marriage. Period. No compromise. And by the way, when the Tea Party says we are mute on that issue, we're not talking about abortion, we're not talking about same-sex marriage. That is embracing it. It's the same thing. When you don't take a stand against abortion, you are accepting it. You are approving it. When you don't take a stand against same-sex marriage, you're approving it. There's no sitting on the fence. The country is in a moral shambles, as we just heard Limbaugh say. You think we have time to separate the issues? Oh, we'll talk about fiscal conservatism now. And then sometime later, we'll get into all of these divisive issues. I had somebody on Facebook tell me, oh no, we can't talk about abortion. That's a divisive issue. Oh no, we don't want to be dividing people. We want to come together. We want to compromise. Once again, that. And yes, I'm genuinely pissed. I'm not putting on an act for my radio show. I'm really ticked off. This kind of stuff has been driving me nuts for a long time, for many months. And then I run into a couple of women over the weekend who are both here in California, both active in the Tea Party movement here, and they are both saying that we should not pursue the social agenda in the Tea Party. This woman, Pam, whose words I'm reading, she told me she used to work at CNN and Mother Jones. And we're supposed to listen to her about what the Tea Party movement should and should not include. Back to her words here. My local Tea Party is full of Democrats. Not all the Democrats are commie progressives. Some of my biggest supporters are Democrats, angry as hell at what has happened to their party. Well, look, it's not the Tea Party's job to fix the Democrat Party. We've got enough to do pushing the Republican Party to the right. If Democrats are angry with the Democratic Party, then they need to fix their party. That's not the job of the Tea Party movement. Tea parties, she says, tea parties are nonpartisan. The tea parties have nothing to do with social issues. We are all about fiscal issues. And I can't tell you, there's probably half a dozen people who have told me on Facebook that it's just about the fiscal issues. The social issues have no place in the Tea Party. And I say, if the Tea Party is not about moral conservatism, then Christian conservatives have no place in it. If all you're talking about is money, then you're not changing anything. Like Limbaugh said,
we're not going to fix this economic mess until we fix our moral mess. Our country is in a moral shambles. And until we fix the moral destruction that has crept over our culture, we're not going to be able to really fix anything else.
And Limbaugh is exactly right. She says the Tea Parties have nothing to do with social issues. We are all about fiscal issues. I could give a flying you-know-what who you sleep with. But following the laws, enforcing the laws, respect and value, self-responsibility, etc., that's not what the militant homosexual movement is about. These supposedly conservative homosexuals want hate crime bills passed by the legislature. Personally, I have my own views, but they are mine. They are not a Tea Party opinion. I have tons of gays in my Tea Party. Being gay, for instance, is not a fiscal issue. Now treat any group different or special that affects my money. That's what the militant homosexuals are about, including Go Proud, which is supposedly a conservative homosexual group. They're not. There is no such thing. Homosexuality in itself is anti-conservative. It is anti-God. And I am not going to sit here and soften the message on issues that are tearing this country apart. I cannot believe so many conservatives are buying into this. Oh, the Tea Party, it's only about fiscal issues. If it is, then it's useless. If the Tea Party is only about fiscal conservatism, then it has no use. And if we are keeping moral conservatism out of the Tea Party so that we can attract Democrats, liberals, pro-abortion people, homosexuals, I want nothing to do with it. Nothing. What's next? Maybe fiscally conservative gun control advocates. We should make a space for them. Or maybe pro-amnesty groups who are fiscally conservative. This is all a load of bunk, and you know it. I'm going to take a break here and cool off, and we'll come back and talk about something entirely different. If you believe the Tea Party is only about fiscal conservatism, don't bother writing, don't bother recording any comments, because I'm not going to play them on the show. I'm not reading them. You're wrong. This is something I'm right about. Most everything I talk about, I'm right about. And the reason that is the case is that if I haven't thought something through yet, if I haven't come to the point where I know what the truth is, and that I would be entirely right about something, I'm not going to talk about it yet. Oh, God. I got to tell you, this drives me nuts. It has, like I've said, it has for a very long time. People have got to realize that the Tea Party, if it's not a conservative movement, it might as well be a Democrat movement. I'll be right back.
It's the Jimmy Z Show!